Mr. Evans. In this video I'm going to give an example of a 20-mark question and some examples of the skills of analysis and evaluation. So this is the question I want to look at. It's from the 2016 paper, Mind Candy has been careful to behave ethically. Should ethics be the biggest influence on decision making for all businesses? Justify your answer. So here is, here's the case study. So first of all, if you've taken a sound approach to how you highlight the case study, read the case study, you will have read the questions first, and you will have realised the 20-mark question was on ethics. So when you came to this paragraph here and read that Mind Candy has always been careful to try to avoid unethical behaviour, you would have highlighted it. When marketing products to children that parents have to pay for. Mind Candy avoids tempting children to buy additional resources and incur extra charges while playing their games. Other providers of online games have been accused of tricking children into making additional payments, but Mind Candy has avoided such criticism. It has also donated several £100,000 to children's charities. So avoid ethical behaviour, they avoid tempting children to spend extra money basically, and as a result they've avoided criticism. Okay, so how does that tie into my suggested approach for answering the questions? Well, I want to first of all explain that the question is, should ethics be the most important factor in terms of decision making? Well, there's some analysis of reasons for I can do there. So if we have a look at an example, this is a response from a student that earned 20 marks. Now you can see they start off with a definition, and they then get into ethics are a big influence on many companies such as Mind Candy. They've been careful not to tempt naive children, their target market, into paying for additional resources on the virtual site. This is a big influence on the business to prevent criticisms that could deter people from using the business again. Donating to charity like that of Mind Candy is behaving ethically, and this decision making ensures that customers keep using the site. So really that's a very good paragraph to be written in exam conditions, and it follows this structure. They've defined the key term, they've analysed reasons for in the context of the business, and then they go on to say, okay, so the question though is, should ethics be the biggest influence on decision making for all businesses? So that's why it's been important. It ensures customers keep using the site for Mind Candy. They then go on to look at why ethics is important in other businesses, and they use the example of the co-op and fair trade, and they write a paragraph on that. So this covers this bit. Okay, you know, are ethics important for all businesses? Well, it's important for at least one other, which is co-op. This third paragraph is really an explanation of another way in the context of Mind Candy. I personally would have gone for reasons against in the context of Mind Candy. In other words, what other factors have been important for Mind Candy when making decisions? The ones I would have talked about was the length of the product life cycle, which is relatively short, and raising finance, which was a key issue for them. And then evaluate if that applies to all businesses. This one that got 20 marks didn't quite do that. They got into why ethics can't be the biggest influence for all companies. They use tobacco, transnational corporations. Ethical products cannot be the biggest influence on decision making for companies like these, as if they were being completely ethical, then they wouldn't be able to gain revenue. Okay, and then they've got a conclusion. Although for many businesses being ethical is part of decision making, such as sourcing fair trade food, they're required to make a profit in order to survive, which often conflicts with being ethical. Businesses may choose to be ethical in some ways, such as give to charity. However, the overall decision making influences on profit organisations is to increase revenue. Some companies aim to be completely ethical, in case of non-profit, such as fair trade and examples, whereas other companies can't be ethical due to the nature of the product. So that's, it's a very good answer to have been produced by a student in exam conditions. I'll give you, my plan for this. So I would define ethics. Reasons that ethics have been the biggest influence on Mind Candy, where you saw their example. Reason ethics have been the biggest influence in decision making in all businesses, or should be. Fair trade, focus on reducing carbon emissions, reducing sweatshop labour, specific examples, okay, so you could use them. Reasons other factors have been the biggest influence in Mind Candy. Reasons ethics have not been the biggest influence in decision making in all businesses. Here's my paragraph. More clearly, it is clear that not all businesses place such a high importance on ethics when making decisions. Companies like Shell and BP, or cigarette manufacturers, could have argued to make the decision that products are unethical. The big six energy companies in the UK are accused of making pricing decisions to keep gas and electricity prices artificially high, which harms poor consumers. Arguably, these companies are placing a higher importance on creating wealth for shareholders when making decisions. This shows that while most companies are becoming more socially aware, ethics is not the biggest influence on decision making for all companies. So that really clearly links back to answering the question at the end of this paragraph as reasons that ethics should not be the biggest influence in decision making on all businesses. Okay, so my conclusion, I would suggest you answer the question in context. So my conclusion would be, I believe that ethics have been the biggest influence on decision making for Mind Candy. Actually, the question is, should it be the biggest influence? So I've got the wording slightly wrong there. Ethics should be the biggest influence on decision making for Mind Candy. This is evidence in their reason for staying as an LTD. They said they wanted to keep control of their ethics, their refusal to market to children, and their positive treatment of staff, and this will help them to maintain a high levels of sales and good reputation in the future. Then I would deal with the all businesses bit. So, however, I don't believe that ethics is the most important decision-making factor for all businesses. And we could develop that through short and long run. The evidence is that many companies base decisions more upon financial rewards. However, should the ethics be the most important factor in terms of decision making? Well, perhaps ethics should be more important for all businesses, as behaving ethically could lead to higher profits, as it will ensure businesses don't get bad publicity. It may help to increase revenues as consumers become more aware of ethics, etc. Okay, so the key thing to remember about these 20-mark questions is that they are about all businesses, and you need to address that in your analysis and evaluation.